Hello and welcome to I24 News Sports Daily Magazine with all the latest scores and stories from the world of sports. And while most European leagues are on a winter break, the Premier League embraces for the very busy Christmas time. The new surfing champion comes home to a hero's welcome, and we had to check up on Santa before Christmas Eve. All that and much more coming up. Let's get started. Christmas is the time of the year spent with family, relaxing from our everyday hassles. This is also true for football players, as major leagues in Europe are taking some time off. Well, this is not exactly the case in the Premier League. 3 match days will take place in less than a week between Boxing Day and New Year's Day, meaning there's not much family time around. Some may see it as a problem. For others, such as Southampton manager Ronald Koeman, it's actually very exciting.
My kids like very much football. One is behind here in the auditorium, and yeah, they are so lucky to see Southampton Chelsea and to see Southampton Arsenal. I think everybody in Holland likes to come to see that kind of matches, and I think it's more nicer than celebrating Christmas.
Christmas may also be the time when things change in the Premier League. 3 matches in a week mean the team that come in a good shape can considerably improve their season. Arsene Wenger, who has not had a relaxing Christmas in nearly 20 years, believes this could be the case for Arsenal.
There are 3 games in a very short period of time, and we can take points, we can make points. It's a period where you have an opportunity to make points. Our opponents will think that as well, but let's just put the performances in and capitalize on it.
And while Premier League managers and players are gearing up for the busy days coming up, those who play in other leagues are enjoying their time off and also using it for a good cause. One such player is Neymar, the Brazilian superstar who plays for Barcelona. While at home, he inaugurated the Neymar Jr. Institute project in the poor Jardim Gloria neighborhood in the city of Praia Grande. The non-profit projects look to help low-income kids in the area and includes educational as well as sports facilities. Neymar grew practically next door, and he believes this is his chance to give back to the community.
It is a very poor neighborhood. I live 2 streets behind here, and I know we didn't have a lot of opportunities. For me to play ball to go after my dream, I had to take an hour or 2 bus ride. It was far, so not here. We're giving people the opportunity to be happy, opportunities I didn't have. So I'm really happy to be doing this with my family.
NBA now, and a few years ago, the Phoenix Suns were the team that everyone liked to see with their flowing offensive game. Steve Nash and Amara Stoudemire may be long gone, but the flowing offense seems to be back. The team from Arizona hosted the Dallas Mavericks, and they showed us all that a good offense starts from a strong defense. A block on one side leads to the three-point play on the other. PJ Tucker was one of 6 Suns players to score in double digits. Steve Nash was once the man in charge of breaking the opponent's defense before handing a beautiful assist. Goran Dragic learned a thing or two. Look at this move, finishing with the easy 2 by Alex Len. Phoenix up by 8 at the break. Second half, and look how fast they do it. The steal, the quarterback-style assist, and the layup. This is what a fast break is all about. The Suns finished the game with 30 assists, including this one for Markieff Morris to Alex Len. Later on, Eric Bledsoe nails it from outside, part of a triple-double game for him. 16 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds. Phoenix wins 124-115. Mixed martial arts, MMA, is a big thing in America, and like the NBA, it's gaining more and more international audience. The latest stop is China, where the sport is quickly becoming very popular as it provides athletes from poor backgrounds the chance to run out of poverty. Michael Friedman with a story.
5 years ago in China, you'd be hard-pressed to find a combat sports fan who would have heard of mixed martial arts, also known as MMA. Many watched alone in the past, but just a half a decade later, the sport has gone from obscurity to being watched on local television by millions. The country even has its own version of the reality TV show, The Ultimate Fighter, and the promise of fame and riches also inspired a generation of athletes like Shigetu.
Going to fight the biggest competition in the United States and getting the best score, that's the dream. For now, this is the dream. Once I've done that, we'll see.
He left his home in the grasslands of northern Inner Mongolia and came to Beijing to train with one of the country's best MMA teams in 2013. He is typical of many of those hoping for fame in the ring. Born into a world of rural poverty, he left school at 14 to help look after the sheep when his father died. For him, training to be an MMA fighter is a choice between a dead-end factory job or risking it all in the hopes of finding success in the sport. He hopes to follow stars like the master, Yao Hangang, who came from a similar background in the rural Henan province in central China.
This year, if there aren't any problems, I should be able to participate in 6 fights. Now the fights in China aren't like the past. Before, for one fight, you might get $160 or $320. But now the very minimum is between $3,200 and $4,800. It's possible with the big fights to get $8,000 or $9,000. And with the bigger fights, it's even possible to receive $16,000.
Yao spent years living in a basement and training in a leaky room next to a badminton court while holding down a job as an air conditioner repairman. In one night, he now makes 10 times more than he used to in a month. But for Yao, there is one goal that has far eluded him: fighting in a competition put on by the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the largest MMA event organizer in the world. Industry insiders believe it will take time before the majority of Chinese fighters are up to the standard seen in the UFC competitions.
China is like any other kind of developing MMA market. Take a lot of time and patience before Chinese fighters get to that elite championship level. The good news is that because of the martial arts background in China, Sanda and some of the other martial arts, that a lot of the Chinese fighters are actually very proficient from a striking perspective. I think the challenge is their grappling and their wrestling, which they'll have to improve over time to really compete at the top levels of UFC.
In the meantime, life is not easy for the wannabes like Shigetu. Full-time training means that he has to rely on handouts from his uncle and the money he gets from fighting in small competitions. Shigetu has fought 7 or 8 times per year in the last 2 years and makes between $640 and $800 for each fight. These Chinese athletes will continue to pursue their dream of being the top Ultimate Fighting champion one day.
Moving to France now and to the completely different fates of the men's and women's judo teams. While the men are struggling to find success, the Derinaire being the only exception, on the women's side, these are probably the best times French judo has seen. Lise Barnbaum and Daniel Roth with a story.
The female judokas shine like the male. The French judokas are the pride of their country, and for the men, only Teddy Riner has truly succeeded in doing so. There are a number of exceptional individuals seen in a very high-level team.
When in a group there is good atmosphere, everything goes well. It can only shoot all the athletes up. It's true that they all mean well, even though there is a difference in generation and age, but it is complemented very well.
In the 2012 London Olympics, the tricolor delegation won 34 medals, including 15 for women, an increase of 114% compared to 2008 in Beijing, where they brought back 7 trophies out of the 41. Judo girls outperformed boys in London, with 5 awards against 2 for the men. Lucy Decos left with the gold, while 3 other champions won the bronze. Since then, one of them, Autumn Pavia, won the European Championship in 2013 and 14.
It's a great year for me. This is my best year. The game has been a little click and everything went well.
In 2014, women continued their momentum. The men collected 18 medals in major competitions, while their female counterparts captured 29.
It was almost exclusively European medalists, world and Olympic, on the team, so it is true that we share with them a strong team.
A level that is seen due to the fact that the same means are available for both men and women in the Federation of French Judo. The girls also work very hard. When they're young, it hardly takes long for them to display their abilities from the start, while it takes much longer for boys. Clarice Agbenio is one of the great wonders of the French.
I barely lost this year, so my quota is perfect. I have nothing to blame myself for, and I hope that next year will be the same.
While most countries have stronger male competitors like Georgia or South Korea, female teams trail. However, France does not have to be ashamed of its sports, and their coach's state of mind is not foreign.
What I expect of them is that they can express their judo on the big day. This is very interesting and we must not have regrets. We need to get involved at the maximum, and they sometimes do better than they know how to do. And sometimes you have results while other times you don't. But that's competition.
Parity is sometimes expressed in unexpected places. The French judo team would do well to give lessons to other sports that sometimes do not leave enough room to their feminine recruits.
The glorious Goodwood Festival is one of the most prestigious events in British horse racing. There's just one little problem: the 5-day event is no longer British. It may still be held in the UK, but from now on it should be referred to as the Qatar Goodwood Festival, after the oil-rich Gulf nation took over the sponsorship of the event. This is just the latest example of Qatari investment in world sports, and while many people are raising serious concerns as to the influence of the Qatari money on the sport, the people in charge seem to be happy.
Actually, why Goodwood? For us, it's not our beginning for sponsoring a competition, but we found Goodwood is the most historic and iconic places to do racing. And for a sponsor, you need to find a place that you could build it together with the who works in Goodwood. And also, it's a 5 days. Competition racing days. We can do so much in it. The sponsorship is for 10 years, so we have time to. We have many ideas, many surprises coming through.
In the world of surfing, there's one name that rises above any other. Kelly Slater won the world title 11 times, but now there's a new guy in town. 21-year-old Gabriel Medina won the World Championship last week, and these were the scenes upon his arrival to his native Brazil. Medina is the first Brazilian to win the title, and he received a hero's welcome when he landed in his hometown of Sao Paulo, and even on this festive occasion, he remembered to give honors to his rival.
Kelly Slater is the man to beat. He has 11 world championships. I know there is still a long way to go. I got my first. There's Joel Parker Parkinson, Mick Fanning, a lot of guys with 3 or 4 titles. Obviously, the big goal is to overtake Kelly. I've got a long way to go, but a dream is a dream.
Christmas Eve is almost here. We know that what Santa Claus will be doing tonight, but what was he doing in the days coming up to the big event? Michael Friedman tells us he kept in shape.
The holiday spirit is being seen all around the world, from Moscow to the Florida Keys to Alaska and as far as Sydney, with Santa spreading the joy to everyone. In the streets of Moscow, around 500 Santas ran for charity, aiming to raise a sack full of money for children's clinics. Although the weather outside was frightful, it didn't prevent the brave runners from participating in the fun runs. Dressed in the iconic red and white Santa Claus costumes, the warm outfits helped the runners from freezing. The organizers of the event hope to give the extra holiday cheer to the children suffering from serious illnesses. All the way down under, over 2,500 people dressed up as Santa Claus and ran through the streets of Sydney. The festive runners raised money for the children's charity in the 5-kilometer run. All of the Santas went through Darling Harbour and finished in front of the Sydney Opera House. After the race, the dancing Santas had smiles on their face as they helped empower children around Australia with disadvantages. Another Santa went for a swim in the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary to deliver presents to all the good mermaids and mermen. Jolly old St. Nick's red suit and white beard flowed throughout the water as he swam by the various schools of fish. He even brought with him a Christmas tree for the sea creatures to enjoy. The annual Keys tradition is another fundraising opportunity for the local children. But others went to more extreme measures as they jumped into a freezing lake in Alaska at the annual Polar Plunge fundraiser. Many were in the Christmas spirit, some dressed up as elves, while others wore their red shirts and Santa hats. The participants stayed in the icy water for only a few seconds before they rushed ashore. However, the event was truly special as they raised around $347,000 in support of the Special Olympics Alaska athletes statewide. With Christmas being felt around the world, once again, sports has shown to be the true miracle for giving.
Merry Christmas, Santa. China is hoping to host the 2022 Winter Olympics. In order to do it, Chinese authorities are doing everything it takes to create interest in winter sports, and it's working. The Olympic Stadium, known as the Bird Nest in Beijing, has turned to a winter sport venue for the past few weeks. The latest event was the first round of the aerials competition, and the Chinese are not only successful organizers, they also won the men's and the women's event. Don't be surprised if very soon China will become a winter sports superpower, just as they did in the Summer Olympic sports. And here's another example for China's Winter Olympic desire. Asia's largest ice world park opened in the capital, Beijing. The Ice World Sportsland has a total area of 15,000 square meters, and it is one of the major activities to promote the winter sports and the 2022 Winter Olympic bid among the Chinese public. And that's it for us today. Merry Christmas to all our Christian viewers, and don't forget, you can watch this and every other show on our website on i24news.tv. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter. Thank you for watching, and have a beautiful day.